Hey, this is Daniel Posney, and this is called Shifting Perspectives. This is a little quick reminder about the relationship between you and your mind. And when we first start with our experience in this life, when we start to grow up, we don't really feel any difference with that, with us who's aware of our mind and our mind. But then as we go along, we start to kind of question reality and our thoughts and different things. So if we're healthy, we start questioning our own mind and we start questioning why is it that I get pissed off so much at this when this happens, or why is it that I have this reaction? And you start, if you're going into something called self-inquiry, that's when you start to question these things and question how your mind works. And so I'm reminded that, some of these concepts that, people like myself talk about, it can seem like spiritual concepts, but actually there's a mix between spirituality and quantum physics and psychology. And if you kind of dive into all those, you'll find that they all kind of tie together in this way. And it sort of goes like this, where I'm like this with my hands together. My one hand is this presence of being, just knowing that I exist. And then some people call it the I am presence. It's just the presence of God, it's the presence of light, it's just the presence of being. And then there's this that kind of combines with that, and we call that the egoic identity or the egoic mind. And that's the one that lives in fear and blame and shame and regret and resentment and all these things. But it doesn't really match with the I am presence, because the I am presence is just beingness. It doesn't have that kind of duality consciousness and that thought. So if we start to pull that apart and start loosening that grip there, and we start to look inside the little cracks, and once you cracks, it just starts opening up from there. And that's what some people call a spiritual awakening. It's when you start to, one of the things is that you start to question things like this. So, one of the things that you can do to help this along is stop defending your mind. And what I mean by that is when we go along and someone comes up and says our hair is purple, and we're born somewhere that we weren't born, and it's just some kind of untruth about us. If we have a reaction to it, our mind will take that and build that up and put things around it, and say, well, they're being disrespectful of you and they're doing this, and it creates this whole story. And that whole story will start to create emotions and feelings inside of our body, because our our mind is talking to our brain is talking to our body, and it's saying, okay, make the hands clammy, raise the heartbeat. But it all goes back to something that happened to us, some feeling, some core feeling that we had when we were a child. So as we go along, if we don't kind of stop defending the mind, stop speaking for the mind as its vehicle to express its reaction, we can kind of slow down and take a breath. Okay, I can feel this coming up. I can feel this reaction. I'm getting triggered right now. It's making me feel like I'm not loved, or whatever the feeling is. And you can kind of, sort of in your mind, just kind of pat down your energetic mind and say, no, I'm just going to take a breath here. I know this isn't about what's happening right now. This has something to do that's hitting a piece deep inside of me. And after you do that for a while, you start to recognize that you have certain patterns. You have certain ideas about yourself and beliefs and programs that have been created when you were little. And once you get used to those and you can kind of name them, you kind of go, wow. In fact, instead, and even more than not defending my mind, I'm going to look at my mind, and you kind of call it out. And you're just as welcome saying, yeah, there is a problem with insecurity, there is a problem with feeling disrespected, but it's not me, it's not about me. I know I'm that, I'm not that, but more specifically, it's my mind, it's my egoic identity, myself. And that's when you can start to look at it. And well, like I kind of say, is whatever my mind doesn't want me to do, I should do that, because the mind is not really concerned about my well-being. It's concerned about its well-being. So, and if you're one of those people that doesn't like being controlled, I hate to break it to you, but if you're the kind of person that is a joker, is a people pleaser, is any way that you're deflecting or distracting people away from you, um, then that's your mind controlling you. So even though you don't like being controlled, your mind has been controlling you, making you think that you are this way. When you're not that way, your mind is that way. So if you kind of dive into this and meditate on this, you'll find that there's this really deep expansion going on that's it kind of invites you into asking more questions and expanding and expanding. So hope you enjoy that. And I love you. Bless you. Have a beautiful day.